So here's the big question. How are entrepreneurs like us, who have been hustling and struggling to make it to success, who seem to make it one step forward only to fall two steps back, who are dedicated, determined, and driven, how do we finally break through and win? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Brian Kelly, and this is the Mind, Body, Business Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mind, Body, Business Show. We have a phenomenal guest for you tonight, coming all the way from Taiwan. This is amazing. Australian accent, and he's from Taiwan. This is awesome. I love what I get to do. It's very early, kind of early in the morning for him, and so I deeply appreciate his willingness to be flexible and come on the show. Daniel Tolson, he's coming on here in just a few minutes, I promise. The Mind, Body, Business Show. It is a show for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs, and my mission is to bring on successful businessmen and women who are willing to reveal their quote-unquote secrets to success. Because here's the thing, it takes enough time, effort, money, anguish, everything else to become successful as it is. Now, to do it on your own, it's going to take you 10 times longer. Why not learn from those who have already achieved a level of success that maybe you have yet to achieve, or maybe they have micro successes that can help you even then? Why not just learn from them and model what they do? That's a fancy word for copy. And that is what the show is all about. I bring on the most successful entrepreneurs from all over the world. Tonight is no exception with Daniel Tolson. I cannot wait to share him with you. He's a ball of fun, man. This guy is a riot, and he's very intelligent, and he's very successful. Great combination, great recipe. And oh my gosh, you are going to love this dude's voice. Woo-wee. He's like, it's buttery smooth. It's beautiful. And don't worry, I'm married. I'm happy. And so is he. We are bromancing, though. We will be very, very soon. And I'm sure he's getting uncomfortable backstage already. The Mind, Body, Business Show. And so we bring on the best of the best. And it's about the three pillars of success. And those are basically the names of the show, the three words of the name of the show. Mind, that is all about a successful person. What I learned over the years, about a decade of studying just successful people, what I learned was that they all had this one thing in common, and that was a powerful, positive, yet most importantly, flexible mindset and body. Each and every one of these people that I studied also, they literally just took care of their physical body. That means through nutrition and through exercise. And then business. Business is multifaceted. It's what most people concentrate on. It really needs to be in the order of mind and body first, and then business. Because once you have your quote unquote house in order, yourself, you can achieve so much more in so much less time and be so much more proficient and efficient. Business is each of these individuals had mastered the skill sets, and there are many that are necessary to build a successful business and then continue to scale it over and over and over as time goes on. Skill sets like what, Brian? Well, like marketing, systematizing, team building, leadership. I could go on for quite some time with the different topics of things, of skill sets that one must master. Here's the good news. You're probably thinking, all right, well, wait, if I got to master one thing, that's probably going to take me some time. Like being an expert at any one thing takes 10,000 hours? I don't have time for this. I'm out of here. And if that's what you were thinking just a moment, I don't blame you. The good news is you don't need to master every single skill set that's necessary to grow a thriving business. You're thinking, Brian, you must be off your rocker. You just said we need to have all these skill sets. And I did. But if you had just one, if you mastered just one of those skill sets, in fact, yeah, it was one of them I mentioned just a moment ago. If you mastered just one, then all of the rest of them could literally fall into place for you. Anybody interested? Anybody want to know? Hands up. Want to know what that one is? It is the skill set of leadership. Once you've mastered the skill set of leadership, now you can assemble that team of others who have already mastered those skill sets in the areas that you have yet to, or maybe never will, master. And thereby you can build a successful business much quicker, much more efficiently. It's all about delegation. It's about mentoring, getting mentors in your life. It's leadership. It's learning from people and modeling success, which is what we're going to do with Daniel Tolson, who's coming on here in just a moment. Speaking of successful people, to a person, what I found is every single successful person that I've ever met is a very avid reader of books. And with that, I like to segue very briefly. We'll bring Daniel on right after, I promise. We'll segue very briefly into a segment I affectionately call Bookmarks.
Bookmarks. Born to read. Bookmarks. Ready, steady, read. Bookmarks. Brought to you by reachyourpeaklibrary.com.
Yes, there you see it, reachyourpeaklibrary.com. For those of you watching, for those of you listening on podcast, that's reachyourpeaklibrary.com. And a quick word, real quick before I step into this and just briefly just explain what this is. Look, there are going to be a lot of resources shared here tonight. They are always shared every show. And I know that Daniel is no different and that he's going to be bringing a ton of value. And he's going to be talking about different websites, different resources, and things like that. Please resist that temptation of clicking away or going off into another tab on your browser and typing in these resources, these URLs, these websites. Instead, I implore of you to write them down on a piece of paper, on a notepad, go old school, do whatever it takes. Here's the thing. If you pay attention all the way through, I guarantee you that you won't miss a golden nugget from Daniel. Not from me, but from Daniel. I know he has many golden nuggets. I would hate for you to take your attention away just for that fleeting moment. Even though you can hear him and you're listening, you may not be paying attention. You might miss that one golden nugget that literally could change your life forever. This has happened to me many times while on stage. I'll be on stage. I know my subject. I know my topic. I'm talking, and I know I'm coming up to the really sweet spot, and I see someone get up and leave the room. They had to go use the restroom, or they got that all-important phone call or text message, and they had to go take care of it. And I get deeply saddened. So I always talk about this in the beginning of every presentation is please write and take notes and stay with us. Visit the resources after the show is over. All right, off my soapbox. Reach Your Peak Library. That is a resource that I had built with you in mind. And you're thinking, my God, Brian, you're cheesy. You're full of it. Yeah, I know it sounds that way, but really, I didn't do this for me. Why is that? I myself was not an avid reader until about 10 years ago when I was 47. Doing the math, you now know how old I am. I hope you do. If not, get out your calculator and just having fun. This I did not read till about the age of 47 when I learned about the importance of it because of a mentor of mine who basically didn't do much to convince me, but he did it by example. I started reading and I thought, oh my gosh, it's a life-changing experience to read impactful books, profound books that change and impact you in ways professionally and in personal life. Or individually, one in professional, one in personal life, or both. It doesn't matter. So you see these books scrolling up on the screen. If you're watching, again, if you're on audio podcast, just take that down, that URL, reachyourpeaklibrary.com. Visit it later. You'll see what I'm talking about. There you see a lot of books scrolling up, and they are in there in no particular order whatsoever. They were just dropped in there as I told the team. I just said, just go grab all the books. Here's what's in my library and go put them in there. And they did. And this is not for me to make money. So if you see a book in there and you say, I don't want Brian to make, whatever it is, 25 cents on this. And I'm not kidding. It's not much money you make if I buy it by clicking that button there. Go ahead and go find it on Amazon. That's where these actually go to, these buttons, but they have my little affiliate link. I'm not here to make money with it, but I always put affiliate links on everything I do. I always train my people to do the same and my students. And so this is here for you as a resource. So pick a book that just jumps off the page to you, one that you haven't read yet. Doesn't matter. Like I said, there's no rhyme or reason, not alphabetic, not by author. You saw a lot of Grant Cardone all bundled together. That was about the only time there's any rhyme or reason to anything in this page. But just find that first one, grab it, read it, consume it, and start changing your life for the better if you haven't been doing that already. And if you have been, find the next book to read and keep moving on. These are all books that I have personally read, every single book on here. And I vet. So not every book I've ever read is on here. So they are only those that have had profound impact on me, either in business or in personal life or both. Speaking of having profound impact on businesses and individuals, our guest is ready to come on. I sure hope he's ready. I'm going to look. I'm going to take a peek. Yep, he's ready. He's doing the fist pump. Let's bring him on.
It's time for the Guest Expert Spotlight. Savvy, skillful, professional, adept, trained, big league, qualified.
And there he is, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it is the one. It is the only Daniel Tolson. Yes.
Hey, Brian. G'day. How you doing?
Good day, man. I love that. I love that. It's a guy from Taiwan speaking Australian. And I know it's English, but you know what I'm saying.
Well, they do call me an egg, and I'm allowed to say that because they say I'm white on the outside and yellow on the inside. And my name is Daniel, and my daughter said to me, Dad, you've got such a boring name. She said, where did your mum get that from? I said, have you heard of the Bible? And she said, what's that? And I said, well, it's a book full of boring names. And she says, in your friend's name's John, and that one's Matthew, and that's Mark. I said, I know. And so when I came to Taiwan, I was hoping they were going to give me a new name. And they called me Daniel. And I said to my wife, this new name, what does it mean? She said, it means Daniel. And I said, so I've come all the way around to the other side of the world to get a new name, and you've given me the exact same one in Chinese. She said, yes, it's boring.
I love it. I love it. Oh, my goodness. There's nothing like family, is there? It's just nothing like it, I'll tell you.
Well, if you want to get insulted, you just talk to your family. And they do a damn good job because they seem to have this track record. My wife, she makes these statements, and I quickly get out my phone and I say, I'm going to put that in my black book. And we have this book of mama. So me, my daughter, and my son are always putting things in the book of mama, and we remind her, you said this, you said this, you said that.
This is awesome. Oh, my God. We could do a whole show on this alone. Before we go any farther, I do have some housekeeping to take care of. The big insider secrets for those of you watching, you can see that big red and white round stamp-looking logo up there. They are the sponsor of this very show that enables us to give away. Thank you, Daniel. They enable us to give away a complimentary vacation stay up to 6 nights, nearly anywhere in the world of your choosing. I am not kidding. We get to give away one of these every single show because of, that's right, the big insider secrets, as Daniel is adeptly pointing at their logo. And that is my good buddy, Jason Nast, who runs that company. And I appreciate that. We get to do that every single show. So stay on to the end. You have to be watching the video live until the end in order to enter to win. So if you're not watching live and you want to find out where we are playing right now, go to the mindbodybusinessshow.com. Write that down. The mindbodybusinessshow.com. Click on any of the buttons that you see, the nice orange buttons, and it will take you to a registration form, and it will send you automated reminders of whenever we go live. So that way you can't ever miss a future show, and you can enter to win and be there with us. And another quick ad spot. We got a couple more, and we're going to bring back the amazing Daniel Tolson. This is going to be so much fun. Carpet Bomb Marketing. That's right. If you're struggling to put on a live show and you just want to have everything done for you, you're tired of the tech of clicking buttons and trying to figure out where do I speak, where do I look, what do I say to the person, what kind of camera am I using, all the things that go into that people don't realize. There's so much that goes into live streaming experience. All of this done for you. All you have to do is head over to carpetbombmarketing.com. Saturate the marketplace with your message. It is all about massive exposure, getting massive exposure for your business without all the headaches of the tech, the communication with your guests coming up, and everything that leads up to the show and including after the show, because there's even more juice after. It's an amazing, amazing system, carpetbombmarketing.com. And with every show, we use a variety of tools, and one of those is just amazing. I've been live streaming for now, over a decade. I used to stream before, let's put it in perspective, Periscope even existed. It was before that. It was just Ustream and live stream. I've been through many of these quote unquote studio solutions for live streaming. And I'll tell you right now, StreamYard is the best of the best. It combines supreme ease of use along with unmatched functionality. And so you see the URL on the screen, write this down, ryp.im/stream live altogether, ryp.im/stream live. Write that down, visit it after the show. You can literally get an account right now for free and take it for a test drive and do some test shows with friends. It is a phenomenal, phenomenal resource. I love it. It doesn't tax my computer. It's simple to use. I've said enough about StreamYard because it's now time to say a whole bunch of glowing things about Mr. Daniel Tolson because he's coming on the screen right now. And so with that, it's time to give him the introduction he deserves. It's going to be a short one, though, even though, just because the intro is short doesn't mean that his brilliance is also equally as short. It's just the opposite. It's like short intro, massive brilliance. All right. Our guest today is an introvert, former Australian champion athlete. We got to find out what that was in. He has co-led a team of more than 17,000 cabin crew, I think we now know, and serves as a consultant to more than 17,500 business people globally. Today is going to show you scientific case studies, if I ask him, on what makes some business people more successful than others, and how you can leverage your unique superpowers to feel more confident in your career and business. You hit one of the nails on the head with that statement right there. And it's about, let's just open it up with that. Welcome, Daniel. I appreciate you coming on, spending the time, getting up early. You just said it. I think the very top elements that keep people from achieving the level of success that they definitely have within them is their lack of confidence. Would you agree with that?
100%. My cousins told me, he said, Daniel, you need to have some wit, you need to have some charm. And I said, well, what's the wit? He said, you got to get out of your comfort zone. I said, well, how do I do that? He said, you know that good-looking girl down at the pizza shop? And I said, yeah. And he goes, you've got to go get a table for one and sit down and make her serve you and talk to her the whole time. And then you got to charm the pants off her. And I said, well, that sounds like some good advice, but I'm a little bit nervous. And confidence is key. Confidence is key for business.
Yeah, I forget who said it. I like giving credit, but it wasn't me. It's vital that you get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that is to do it every single day and step out of your comfort zone every single day. If you don't, you're not growing. And if you're not growing, you're stagnant. You're staying still. It's like have you ever heard that analogy where there's a ship in the water, and if it's sitting still and the sails aren't up and it's not moving, can you turn it about? Well, you could if you shove off the dock and you have other big people push you around. You can change your direction. But if you're not moving, you can't even go in the wrong direction because you're not even moving. You have to start moving. You will go in the wrong direction. You correct course, but you can only do that when you're still moving. And then you continue to correct course until you found that lane. Then when you found the lane, guess what happens? You get knocked off course again and again and again. That's called entrepreneurship. Daniel's nodding his head emphatically. Have you experienced anything like that at all?
Yeah, 100%. I'm thinking about an ex-girlfriend, and she used to say to me, Daniel, only dead fish go with the flow. And I thought to myself, only dead fish go with the flow. And anyway, I live outside, next door to my house is a beautiful big river, and the only fishes I see going downstream are the dead ones. And all the ones who are out there to catch something are swimming upstream. And I think it's a great metaphor for business is we're going to constantly move the needle forward. We know that all high performers are growing consistently. You know, the average income goes up about 2 or 3% per year, but the average cost of living goes up 6 to 7% per year. So if you're not growing at least 6 to 7% per year, you're going backwards. But high performers, it's a different story, and we'll talk about that hopefully today.
Oh my goodness, let's go for it, man. Let's jump right. There's no set script. There's no set organizational matter to this show. It's about providing value, and that is the perfect time to bring it up. So go for it, my friend. Absolutely.
We have superpowers within us, and nobody else is going to tell us what they are. It's our job to go on a journey to discover what they are. And like my life, for the first 28 years, I had to figure out what I didn't like to do. And I worked with my family, and we owned a pawn shop. And it was a great shop. My dad was in pawn, my mum was in pawn, and we were the local pawnbrokers and would buy and sell secondhand goods. And for 17 years, my brother did the business, I did the business, and my mum did the business, and my dad did the business. And at the end of 17 years, my mum had a mental and emotional breakdown. And then she said to me, Daniel, would you like to take over the family business? Hell no. I said, I've got a life to live. And the key was, when I was there, Brian, I knew from what I'd learned that you should always follow your heart. And, you talk about mind and body, and we've got to learn to listen to our body. And when I would wake up in the morning, I would stay in bed as long as I could to get out of bed as late as I could, to get to work just that split second before 9 a.m. And I'd literally count down the seconds to lift up the shutter. And then the shutter would go up, and then I'd count down till 11. And my brother and I had this system. You know, if we can break up the day into these chunks, then it's just a little bit of a slower death and it's not as painful. So at 11 exactly, we'll have 2-minute noodles and a bottle of Coke. And you go up the street and then come back. But instead of doing the banking and going to the post office at the same time, we'd go up, we'd get our morning tea every day. We could have planned a week in advance, but would go up to Coles or the supermarket, get the noodles and the Coke, and come back. That wasted half an hour. And then at 1 p.m., we'd then do lunch. And so we'd take half an hour to walk up the street and back and get the ingredients that we could have got at 11 a.m. And then at 3 p.m., we would then go to the bank. So what we're doing the whole day is we're just scheduling our day to waste time because we didn't want to be there. And it was that feeling that you get. You get this feeling that I don't like being here. And the heart is crying and saying, this is painful, this is hurt. But that bloody head, that mind says, it pays the bills, Daniel. You've got insurances to pay. You want to drive a Mercedes-Benz. You want to have your own house. You should do this job. You should be thankful. There's people with no money. There's people at war and they got nothing. You should be thankful. But the heart's going, get me out of here. So we lived in this inner conflict. And for the first 27 years, I really tried many different things to figure out what I didn't like. And then the penny dropped on the 28th year and I said, I know what I want, but now I've got to find a way to get it. So that was what was happening at the start for me.
And it's interesting that, my gosh, so many people I've talked to, including yourself, we all go through these journeys. I come from a background of working for corporate as well, and I so relate to that. It's just anything to get through the pain and fill up any voids with just things that keep you from thinking about the pain and being back at that seat in front of whatever you're doing. So I completely resonate with everything you just said there. And yes, it aches the heart. And then I would talk to these coworkers as I'm entering into entrepreneurship and telling them, this is an amazing world. You should check it out. It's all positive. We're all can-do thinkers. Corporate's the opposite. Yeah. And they're looking at you going, what are you smoking? You're like, they look at you like you're a foreign object. You're from a different land or a different planet. And I would inside weep for them to say, wow, you're going to just keep yourself where you're at and keep, punching the clock in and out like a robot, like a drone, not taking yourself out of your comfort zone, not once, not ever, unless you have to go see the boss and get scorned about something. But unbelievable. And I literally would get upset or sad when I talked to some wanted to do it. They would express interest. They would do a few things that I was actually coaching them to help them to live their dream, not necessarily get out of their job because I wasn't against the company. I just wanted to give them hope. And a couple would take it a few steps and then they would just, you know what, this is too hard. I'm going to sink back into my comfort zone. I'm like, oh, that's the problem. It is hard. And for those that have led a life of corporate, you're a rare breed, Daniel, that you have broken free, and God bless you and congratulations for doing that, because you provide hope to all those who are looking to do what you have done. If you had one piece of advice for someone in that job you described it beautifully, where you're just wasting time to get past the time so you can get back home and be with your loved ones and do what you would rather do, what would that one piece of advice to someone that's stuck in that rut, if you could think of one piece of advice, what would you say to them to first get them motivated to change their mode of life that they have today?
Put your balls on the line. We have a saying in Australia, grow some balls. And what I mean by that is you've got to learn courage. Courage is not something that's given to you. Courage is not something you can get out of a bottle or a pill. You have to work on your courage and you have to grow that courage muscle. And you've got to every single day do something that's a little bit outside of your comfort zone. So you've really got to grow the balls, and that's for the ladies as well. You've got to get those balls and you've got to try a lot of new things. And just because you try something and it doesn't work, it doesn't mean you're a failure. It just means you've learned something. You've either learned what doesn't work or you learn that works. You learn what you like or what you don't like. And that's a fact of life. So you've got to have the courage. And I've always worked on courage, and especially as an athlete. Brian, people said, Daniel, you became so successful. It was so easy for you as an athlete. I said, you don't know what I went through in here, in my head and my heart, to have that successful career as an athlete. See, when I grew up, and people don't know this, and it's not my whinging and moaning story, but I had a lot of disabilities. I had a twisted spine, which put my hips out. It put my knees out. I had a twisted neck. My cranial plates were pushing down on the left and right hemispheres of the brain. I couldn't see correctly because of the pressure built up in my brain. I was tone deaf. I had linear sequential learning disability. And I had to fight for what I wanted every single day. Life for me, school for me, was out of my comfort zone. It was hard, but it didn't mean I had to give up. I just had to learn to fight. And every day was a fight. And there's 3 things that I believe in life. We do 3 Fs: feeding, fighting, and fornicating. And what we're going to learn to do is we're going to learn to fight for what we want. And every day for me was just a fight. It was a battle, not against anybody else, just against me and my little demons. And so eventually, once I spent 5 years in remedial therapy, once all the doctors got in there, I had collapsed bronchial tubes. I had all the... started to take this, and I started to play sport. But inside, I just lived in fear. I was so afraid that I'd get hurt. I was more afraid of getting hurt than I was at actually succeeding. And I want you to write this down. Grab your pen. Fear doesn't prevent death. It prevents life. And so I was always afraid of getting hurt. I was afraid of falling. I was afraid of, it was crazy. I was an athlete and I was afraid of getting wet, because when you got wet on the wakeboard, you'd get cold. But I had to face all of that. And for me, I had mental and emotional blockages that nobody else had, but nobody could see how hard I was fighting. So you've got to get courage, and courage can take years to develop. And I can't tell you what's going to happen overnight. I can't tell you it's going to happen with hypnosis. I can't tell you it's going to happen with NLP. They're all tools that help you build courage, but true courage is like a muscle. You've got to develop it over the years, and you only develop it by doing things outside of your comfort zone. So if I was to break down the fears that you've got to face so you can build resilience, so you can build courage, the first fear that you've got to face is the fear of being taken advantage of. So if you're in corporate, you've got to face this. If you're in your own business, you've got to face this. If you want to be in a relationship, you've got to face this. It's the fear of being taken advantage of. And a leader will find it really hard to employ new people because they'll be afraid that they're going to bring somebody in and they're going to take advantage of them. Maybe they'll become better than them. Leaders also struggle with this because they fail to delegate, because they say, what if I delegate and the person takes advantage of me and just wastes their time? And so the leader says, well, I may as well do it myself so I don't get punished. So the first fear is a fear of being taken advantage of. The second fear that we've all got to learn to face is the fear of rejection. Now, the latest research shows that 99% of adults fear rejection. So don't think you're special by having this fear. Everybody's got this fear, but nobody's talking about it because they don't want to be seen as vulnerable. They don't want to be weak, but it's just a natural fear that we have to learn to overcome. So a fear of rejection impacts 99% of people. And if you want to start a business, you've got to learn to talk about what you do. But if you're afraid to talk about what you're doing, then you won't be able to launch a business. So you've got to conquer that fear. And as you conquer it, that muscle of courage becomes stronger. The third fear is the fear of losing your stability. And this is the biggest one for adults. It's the fear of losing their stability because they say, Brian, what if I actually do leave this corporate job? I'm earning $100,000. I'm earning 6 figures. I've got my pension coming up. I could just work another 10 years and I could retire for life. I don't like it. But they're afraid of losing their financial stability. They're more worried about their money than their goals or their life. So we've got to learn to overcome that fear. And the fourth one is the fear of trying and failing. It's the fear of making a mistake. And what I made the mistake of, and it's going to be a contradiction to what Brian was talking about before with his library, is when we have a fear of making a mistake, We don't trust the knowledge and skill that we already have. So we get caught up in this learning cycle. So we go to Brian's library and say, well, I better read all those 35 books before I can succeed. But it's all a bullshit story. It just stops us from taking action. It's because we don't have the courage to begin. So what I did many years ago, Brian, was I immersed myself in education, and I really did. But I realized that every time I learned something, I become more ignorant, and there was always something else to learn. So I went out and I learned something else, and I learned something else. And 3 years later, I still haven't applied anything. So I made a decision in my life that I would apply what I already know, and I wouldn't do anything else until I got the result that I was looking for. And so once I did that, I realized that I had these inner powers. I was a person of value. I was a person of worth, and I knew things that other people didn't know. And so I cashed back on that. I got a return on all of those years of failing. And so now at 42, I'm just a couple of years older than you. Now at 42, I now profit from all of those years of pain. But like the law of investment says, you got to make an investment before you get a return. If you want to have your own business, you got to go all in before you even make a buck. So it is scary. I'm scared every day. There's 4 nights a week that both me and my wife think we're going to have heart attacks, and we want to take each other to the hotel, not the hotel, the hospital. It's still scary today, but we're going to face that fear every day.
Yeah, gosh, I mean, I was telling folks to take notes. I'm running the show, and I've taken a page already. Yes, I've got more to go. So many. Oh, you know what? That is so warranting of a bomb dropping moment, if anything is. My goodness. Smart bombs, knowledge bombs, bombs of wisdom. So, my gosh, I have writer's cramp in a good way. So lots of fear. Yeah, and I totally concur with you about not going in and reading 35 books before you do anything else. No, I'm the same as you. I'm a proponent of learn as you do. Yes. Continue. Learn, then you said it, apply. Don't learn and then go off and learn something else. Learn, then take the big highlight points that you wanted to really integrate, that means apply them, and ultimately you can end up like Daniel, where you then teach. And that is when you really integrate the learnings the most. It's more than just doing, it's teaching. So what a great thing to do. My mentor did this. He would learn something and turn around the next weekend. He would learn it, then he would do it. The very next weekend, he would schedule a gathering in a hotel and teach it. PowerPoint slides and everything right away. Did not hesitate. Like, wow. And so now he will never forget that content, and he's already put it in action. He's seen the success for it, and he's taught it. And so that's taking it to an extreme, but I totally concur with you on that. And yeah, fear of failing. Oh, that's a big one. Fear of losing stability. It's huge. It's huge. That's comfort zone right there. That's the thing. If you don't feel afraid, if you don't feel fear every day of some kind, then you're probably not living a very exciting, or I should say exciting, but productive life that produces with purpose for other people, to help others as well. Johnny Carson, he was the Jay Leno, he was before Jay Leno on the Tonight Show, before, I forgot the guy's name now, the really talented dude. Anyway, he did this for a living every single night. He got up on stage in front of millions of people on television every single night during the week. And he admitted to a confidant that when he was behind the curtain and John, I forgot his name, Ed McMahon was introducing him, he was behind the curtain, he was in fear, total fear. He's been doing this his whole life. He was afraid. What was he afraid of? Probably failure, probably of not being accepted, maybe his monologue. He didn't like some jokes. We're always thinking these things all the time, no matter how successful we are. And I would barter to say that if you're not feeling this, then maybe you aren't going down the path you should be. There should be some kind of quote unquote fear, hesitation, resistance going on, I think, at all times. It's just, can you outweigh that with happiness and joy and the things that it results in? That would be the key. What are your thoughts on that, Daniel? There's
a lot of talk about narcissism going around after this Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial, and everybody seems to think narcissism is a bad thing. I'm narcissistic. I love my own content. People say, Daniel, you've got 100 views on your video. I said, yes, and they're all mine. One thing we've got to do, hear me out on this one. If I'm not prepared to listen to my own content, how could I expect somebody else to listen to it? And for years, I've uploaded more than 3,000 videos on YouTube. And I create content and I listen back to it and I blow myself away and I go, that's really good content. But I've got to ask myself, am I applying what I know? Sometimes it's very easy. We know it, but are you applying it? So I go back and I listen to my content. I'm like everybody else. I don't like the sound of my voice. People compliment me and they say, Daniel, you've got a lovely voice. And I say, it's the microphone. They say, it's not the microphone. I say, well, okay, it's my voice coach. I've been voice coaching for 3 years. I'm not listening to it because I like the sound of my own voice. I'm listening to it because what I've learned from the experts is what I need to master. And it's only when you teach something that you really know it. And what I talk about in one of my books that I wrote, and I read my own books, by the way, and it's called Win Sales Now. And my wife and I talk about the When Harry Met Sally model of selling. Now, if you've seen the movie When Harry Met Sally, she's having an orgasm in the restaurant, and the other women turn around and say, I want what she's having. So if you want to be a business person and you're selling health, you want to make sure you're consuming your own knowledge or product and you're healthy, because you are the person who's marketing the product and you want people to look at you and go, wow, you are healthy. I want what you're having. And for me, with selling mindset, I have to make sure that these ideas are working for me. I'm not selling the climb, Brian. I'm selling the result. And people go, I want that result. And so I've got to make sure it works for me. So I consume my own content and I make sure I apply it and get the result in my life. And then what happens? You get courage, you get confidence, you get congruency. Because when people look at you and they say, does it work? You say, absolutely. Now, the opposite happened to me years ago, Brian. Like all of us, we become mothers or fathers. You become really bogged down in work. You have a sedentary lifestyle. You're sitting down for 8 to 12 hours a day. You wake up and you look down and you go, whose body is this? You know, I literally, one day I looked down and went, whose body is this? And I said, I better do something about the body. And so I reached out to a person who was selling a slimming shake. So you could have an organic shake and you could lose weight and you could replace a meal. So I got into Zoom and she started telling me all the benefits, like good marketers do, about the product. But I only have one question in my mind. Is it working for you? So I looked at her and I said, is it working for you? And the first thing she said, oh no, I wouldn't buy this. It's too expensive. I went, oh my God, you should have just lied to me. But humans like to tell the truth. So there she is, maybe I don't know, maybe 80 pounds overweight. And so I went, this doesn't fit. I can't buy because it's not working for her. I reached out to another person who was selling the same product. He got on the line. He was the same age as me. He had a beautiful body that I could really admire. Like men can admire another man's body. And it doesn't say, you know, like you said before, I'm happily married. I'm happily married and I can look at a guy and go, man, I'd love that body. I just don't want to do that work. But I'd like to think I could have that. And I asked him, I said, is this slimming shake working for you? And he said, take a look at me. We're the same age. He goes, show me your body. And I said, well, I'm going to leave my shirt on, but send me 2 bags over today. I didn't ask the price because he had the result. So once we have that confidence, once we have that courage, once we have that congruency, we'll go out there and people will look at us and say, I want what you're having. Whatever you're smoking, give me a puff.
Totally concur. And it can take time to build the confidence. And so much, again, okay, you deserve this. It's coming. Watch up. Yes. Another bomb dropping moment, courtesy of Daniel Tolson. Yeah, my gosh. I love how you say consume your content. And it's not narcissistic in my view. People could view it that way from the outside, but let them think what they want. I used to go around with this guy. I would follow him on a speaking tour. He would speak in different areas, somewhat near where I lived. They were close enough for me to go learn from him. He'd been speaking longer than I had. And I watched what he did. He would set up a camera. He's a solo guy. He had no crew with him. He would just do small meetups, like in a real estate office for whatever, and they would be organized and everything. He would show up, plug everything in, make sure he's in the shot. He had a lapel mic, and he recorded every time he spoke. Why did he do that? Not to put on YouTube, not to post anywhere, not any of that. It was 100% to go back and review and critique himself to get better the next time. He was his own feedback machine. I thought, this is genius. Yes, it would probably be better to get yet another person that's not you to give you the feedback, especially when it comes to speaking. That's what I had. Oh my God, I had the best feedback machine in the freaking planet, and it really propelled my speaking ability. I'm not the best of the best, but I'm way better than I was. But just think of that. Use it to learn from yourself. What are the things you can improve? Just put that lens on. And I'd really like to say, please resist the temptation of beating yourself up anytime you see something you didn't like. We do that way too much. You know, in fitness, I used to be a certified personal trainer, and I'd say, you know, do 10 push-ups, and they could do 5, and they start kicking. Oh, I suck. It's like, no, what are you doing? I said, no, instead of kicking yourself in the butt, reach up with that hand around to the back and pat yourself on the back for the reps you did do, not for the ones you didn't do. Give yourself credit. You gave everything you had for that amount. That is worth a lot, because next time, maybe not the next time, maybe 3 times from now, you get to 6 reps. Then you'll get to more. You're on everything is progressive. You're never going to hit that goal. We always set too big of goals for ourselves, but you got me going, brother Daniel, man. I got to tell you, this is phenomenal.
Can I just cut in there and make a little thing? And, you know, we were talking about NLP offline before. You've got to learn to talk to yourself differently. So as a father, I've got to make a positive impact in my daughter's world. And my daughter, I can see the traits of perfectionism inside of her. She loves to study, and I never have to make sure she studies. She gets up in the morning, she studies. She comes home, she studies. But she wants to get it right, and she wants it perfect. So I think that's a great strength, but it also has its limitations. So when we walk home from school every day, she talks about her exam results, and she's, Dad, I only got 96 today. And so a lot of people would focus on the 4% that she got wrong. But I say, baby girl, congratulations, 96% perfect. And then she comes back the next day, oh, Dad, I only got 90%. I say, baby, I love you, 90% perfect. And so what I'm doing hundreds of times when we walk home from school is I'm just reinforcing her that whatever she has done has been perfect, 50% perfect. You've got to train yourself that you're good, because anybody can be good in the perfect conditions. And when I was an athlete, I could ride against riders who would win every single day, as long as the boat speed was perfect, as long as the wake speed was perfect, as long as the water was flat. But they'd never win when the conditions changed. So you've got to train for all conditions. I used to get up at 4 a.m. I'd go training in the freezing cold, because one day in the future, I'd be competing in a place that was freezing cold. I'd compete in the middle of the day when it's 40 degrees in summer in Australia. There's wind, there's rollers on the water, but you still got to ride, and you got to learn to fall. But what happens is you got to just keep training and practicing for all conditions. And then it's that person who's ready for all conditions that will ultimately succeed.
And what you just said with your daughter, that's a perfect example of what I call great leadership. And yeah, there was a time when I was a young buck. There was a time it did actually exist. And I was coaching little kids, boys about 10 years old or so, in basketball. And we were outdoors. And I'll never forget, there was another team on the other side of the court with a grown adult male about my age now, an old guy. He was coaching his team. And throughout this whole time that we were having practice, on occasion, I hear the guy on the other end yelling, berating these kids. They're little kids. And I'm like, what is he doing? I got guys that are running up, shooting a layup, they'll miss. And I thought, well, he put in the effort. He did what I told him. He jumped off the opposite foot. He listened. He did the fundamentals, or she. And as long as they put in the effort, if they make a mistake, I am fine with it. 100% fine with it. Same with business. If they put in everything they could, if they did their best, if they weren't just lazy and they make a mistake, and it could even cost money to the company, it's like, look, it happens. You won't ever do it again. I know, because no one likes to make mistakes. That's cool. Let's move on. You learn from it. I never, ever get into the habit of public beration. I've seen it in the corporate world, and it was horrendous, Daniel. I mean, this boss was just laying into this one employee in front of their entire group of peers right there. And I thought, oh, this poor SOB. So you're just taught a great lesson in leadership, and that is to lift up, point out the positives, give praise for what you did do, not what you couldn't achieve. When, there are cases for discipline, for sure. Don't get me wrong. It's not all, but if you set up your culture in such a way that it's always positive and uplifting, you'll have far fewer incidences of people being lazy or just screwing up, just to screw up. What do you think about that?
You can join the top 10% of leaders today by asking 2 questions. I'll give you the 2 most important questions a leader should ask every single day. And it's exactly what I ask my daughter every day, because for me, leadership is situational. It's not a title on your business card. It's not what's on your badge. It's situational. And you have to be ready to step forward when there's an opportunity to lead. So there's 2 questions that you ask as a leader. You always ask your people, first question, what did you do right? And let them celebrate all the things that they do right. And you encourage them, well, what else did you do right? What else did you do right? And that builds up their self-esteem. You know, it's a game of who's got the highest self-esteem that's going to win. You build up their self-esteem. You ask them, what did you do right? And I'll tell you what, it's not an easy game to play at the start, but eventually people start to say, well, I did that right, and I did that right, and I did this right, and I said that right. Beautiful. And once they get all the right things in their mind, the second most important question, and I want you to ask it like this: what will you do differently next time? You're not focusing on what went wrong. You're not focusing on the negative. You're presupposing that they're going to have another opportunity to win in the future. What will you do differently next time? And once they share all those positive learnings, it gets programmed into the conscious and to the unconscious mind. And then when they get that opportunity into the future, their mind's already pre-programmed, and the mind goes, bang, 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 do this, do this, do this, and they'll have more success. The courage will go up. The confidence will go up. The congruency will go up, and they'll look back at you and say, you made an impact in my life. Thank you. That's how you lead. What did you do right? And what will you do differently next time?
Yeah, it's all about building up, not tearing down. And that's completely in line with what I do. And speaking of what I do, I want to find out what it is you do at a more deep level. So if you don't mind, I'll bring up your website. And I'd like to find out from you specifically, who is your target market? I know you were asking me that right before we came on. You're an astute coach, I can tell. And you know, what the age group, are they business owners? Are they not business owners? Are they corporate entities that have groups? Maybe all the above. What is it you do, and what exactly do you do for people, and what kind of results are you getting? You can tell a story about a result if you have one of those as well. That would be awesome. But let me pull this up.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Get a glimpse.
Absolutely. Well, my ideal client, they wake up in the morning, Brian, and they say, I feel stuck and I don't know what to do next. So the feeling that they have is they're stuck and they're looking for an answer. And this normally happens to people between the age of 35 to 55. And they're either working for a corporate or they're wanting to start their own business. And they're starting to realize that after years of personal development, years of reading books, years of reading podcasts, that the only thing that they haven't worked on is themselves. They've got all the skill to succeed. They've got all the certificates. They've been to the universities. They've got all the knowledge. They've read all the books. They've consumed all of that. And now they realize that they are getting in their own way. And so when they come and meet me, they want 3 things from me. The first thing is they want to catapult their influence. They want people to look up to them. They want people to admire them. They want to be recognized because for so many years, nobody even knows their name. And so they want to catapult their influence. The second thing is they want to accelerate their impact. And a lot of people from age 35 to 55, they say, I thought I would have been so much further ahead in my life by now. And so they know that time is running out for them. Those ones who are 35 are saying, well, I haven't achieved those goals that I wanted when I was 20. If I don't do it today, it's going to be another 10 years. So they want to accelerate their impact and they want to achieve their goals faster. You know, I had a gentleman who came and worked with me, and his name was Uwais Hamed. He couldn't speak good English, but he could understand what I was saying. He would learn and he'd apply. He'd learn and apply. And he said, Mr. Tolson, the first thing that I want to do is I want to grow my business. So within 3 months, he grew his business. After 3 months, he said, I've made enough money to buy a Mercedes. So he went and bought a Mercedes. And I said, well, what do you want to do next? He said, Mr. Tolson, I want to become a millionaire. And I said, well, let's put some plans into place. But who do you have to become to be worthy of earning $1 million? And we worked on him and his business behaviours and his approach. In January this year, he sent a screenshot to me. He said, Mr. Tolson, I've become a millionaire. He said, in the month of January alone, I closed my first $1 million deal. It was $1.16 million. 3 weeks later, he sent me another message and he said, I've made another 5.4 million Malaysian ringgits. And he said, thank you so much. And I said, well, I didn't do the hard work. You did the hard work. So you should give yourself a pat on the back. Like you said before with the push-ups, you've got to give yourself a pat on the back. The third thing they want from me, Brian, is they really want to unleash new income levels. And I want to make this clear. It's not all about the money. And a client of mine come to me and said, Daniel, I'm making $5 billion a year. And I said, well, that's a lot of money. He said, but it's not enough. I said, why isn't it enough? And he said, because on $5 billion, I can only feed 2 million homeless people.
Wow.
And he said, if I'm going to achieve my impact goals, we've got to become more profitable. Now, when I hear that, I love that. So they're the three things they want from me. And once they get that, Brian, then they can live life on their own terms. Then they become impactful leaders, and then they leave a legacy, and they leave the world a better place than they found it. So these are my clients, and I love working with them and just seeing these people stretch. You know, I have a program called 100x DNA. And what I say is that your DNA can be stretched from where you are today to the sun and back more than 100 times. Well, scientifically, the truth, it's actually 300 times. And the research shows from Stanford Brain Institute, we only use about 2% of our potential. So imagine you've got to where you are today, and Brian was telling us his age before if you're good at maths. Imagine if you'd done all of that on just 2%. Imagine how far you could go if you started operating at 3 or 4% of your potential. And that's what Unleashed Masterclass is all about. We teach you how to break through those fears, those doubts, and those limiting beliefs that have been holding you back.
I love this. And so this is a complimentary masterclass. And there's so many great things about this approach. One is this is something you can come to and get value from. You know, you're going to learn something. You can tell just by listening to Daniel here tonight. This guy loves to give back. He loves to teach. He loves to train. He's had successful clients. So you know your time won't be wasted, because time is the biggest resource we all have, more than money. It's the most valuable resource there is in existence, in my humble opinion. And so what's the great thing about this is you get to go and listen to his brilliance. How long is the masterclass on average?
This one goes for about 2 hours.
That's a lot. And so that's phenomenal. You're not charging for this. Is that correct?
Free Unleashed Masterclass. Absolutely. So
amazing.
Many knowledge bombs.
Yeah, I love that. You can get that. That's freaking awesome. Yes, and that's what I love about this. So it not only gives you a peek into success and how to unleash your negativity, get it out of the way, actually unleash your positivity and your confidence in a great way. You also get to learn about Daniel Tolson in a deeper level, just because you're going to be experiencing him in his element. That's the beauty of this, because at that moment you're going to realize, you know what, I want to 10x my business, and other people have done it. I like this guy. He's got a good sense of humor. He says porn shop instead of pawn shop. I love that. And he does everything. He's got a wife. He's got kids. He's grounded. He's successful. He's got everything you need. So all you need now is to commit and click the button. So go to unleashedmasterclass.com. For those of you listening on podcast, unleashedmasterclass.com. Write that down. Don't go there now. Don't do it. Do it right after this show's over, and you'll immediately see a nice big orange button with bouncing arrows around it that say, yes,
I feel like nodding when I see that arrow. Let me in.
It wouldn't be that was done on purpose, would it? That's right. Yes. So that's good. I love it. But definitely take him up on this. It's a free resource. You can't beat free. Yes, your time is involved, but I think you can all attest that by now, having listened to him for now nearly an hour, that it's going to be well worth your time, because it's all going to be about you, about giving you value. And I think I'm going to enroll. What is 8:00 p.m. Malaysia time? How does that convert? I didn't do the math on that one.
If you're on the east coast of America, it'll be about 10 or 11 p.m. for you. And actually 10 or 11 a.m. And if you're on the west coast, it'll be about 8 a.m. for you.
All right, that works for me. I'm on the west. So 8 a.m., so it's a 12-hour difference. Cool. All right. So I'm definitely going to be clicking on that because, I myself hold a masterclass, but I'm not going to talk about that here. I want to talk about yours. So I understand this whole process and how beautiful it is. What else happens when Jonathan is teaching this masterclass? We were just talking about it all show long. Learn, do, teach. Guess what's happening with with Daniel?
Jonathan's
he is learning it and gaining even more confidence than ever every single time he presents. I know this because that's what happens when I do mine. It just exudes. So think about not just the content that Daniel is putting forth. This is one of those things that I learned from my mentor. It's not just about sitting and learning. It's about, okay, go behind the scenes. How can I model what Daniel's doing to improve my business? Look at it through the lens of the speaker as well as through the student. That's when the real stuff starts hitting. That's when the real juice flows. That's when you start really thinking a different way, in a way that will help you to grow much faster. Does that resonate with you, Daniel? I don't think it does because you're nodding like emphatically.
Well, what I wrote down is emotions are more contagious than COVID. And when you model successful people, you're modeling the way they think, feel, and act. And we've got to firstly understand, Cleveland Clinic says we have 60,000 thoughts going through our mind every day. Out of those 60,000 thoughts, 95% are on repeat and 80% are negative in nature. So what you've got to do is you've got to get into a masterclass like this and you've got to understand how other successful people think, because your thinking influences 95% of your feelings. And if you're hanging around negative people, you will feel negative. But once you start to hang around positive people who are optimistic, not pessimistic, optimistic, and they're focused on the future, not in the past, what happens is by osmosis, you also pick up on these positive thought patterns. You'll then feel courageous and then you'll take action. But if you're thinking that you can't succeed, it's not going to work for you, you'll trigger those 4 fears we talked about before, and then you'll end up procrastinating. But emotions are more contagious than COVID, and we know it. You can have a laugh with somebody online, even though they're the other side of the world. The emotion is contagious, so you've got to get in the room. It doesn't work on a recording. You've got to be live, and that's why I deliver it live. I'm past the stage where I actually have to. I've been doing this. I've been coaching for 25 years. I can do it pre-recorded, but I know it works best when I'm live and when other people can pick up on my vibe. So make sure you get there.
Man, okay, that's our first hour of the show. We got another to go because there's so much more to cover. We'll have to have you back, Daniel. This has been phenomenal. I hate to cut it. We're not going to cut it right now. I have 2 things. One, I promised everyone that they would have that stayed on live to the end, that they would get the way to enter to win a 5-night stay at a 5-star luxury resort. Thank you, brought to you by the Big Insider Secrets. So get out a pen or paper or notepad, or just keep writing like you have been already, and write this down. And do not go to this website yet. We have one more question I love to ask every guest expert that comes on my show, and it's a profound question. It's become profound because I used to ask it kind of on chance, and then I started realizing, wow, these answers are not what I expected at all. And so I made it my go-to exit question. You do not want to miss that. So stick here, write this down, and then come back, and we're going to ask Daniel the final monumental jaw-dropping question. So watch your screen.
Sweaty. I'm getting hot. Ready for it.
Yeah, I love it. So on your screen, you see, write this down. To enter to win, go to ryp.im/vacation, all lowercase, ryp.im/vacation. And I want to give you a quick glimpse into what this is going to look like when you win. It is amazing. You're going to see a nice quick video on how to claim your vacation. But I just want to show you the amount of variety of places, of destinations you can choose from. This is the United States, scrolling down now. And then after that, we will see Mexico. Now you say 6 days, 5 nights. This is complimentary. 4 days in the UK, 5 in Argentina. It just keeps going and going. I'm going to go faster, faster, faster. You can see there are a lot of destinations for you to choose from. So whoever wins gets to choose a destination from that amazing list of destinations. It's going to be freaking awesome. I hope you win. And guess what time it is now? It is time for the big question so that Daniel doesn't go into overheat, so we can let him cool down and relax.
Well, you know what happens when you have an emotional hijack? You lose 30% of your IQ capacity. So I better cool down.
So I have good news for you, Daniel. The good news is this question, there is no such thing as a wrong answer. It doesn't exist. In fact, the opposite is more true, is the only correct answer is yours, because it's, specific to you. It's very unique to you. And so even if it takes you an instant to think of the answer, perfect. If it takes you 5 seconds, 10 seconds, a minute, perfect. Why? Because it's your answer. It doesn't matter. There's no way you can fail. With that, are you ready?
I'm ready to go.
All right. I know you are, my brother. I know you are. All right, here we go. Daniel Tolson, how do you define success?
How do I define success? Well, for me, it would be living life on my terms. I don't want my teachers telling me what career I should take. I don't want my parents telling me who I should or shouldn't be married to. I want to be free to make my own decisions, to do what I want to do, to buy what I want to buy, and to become who I want to become. So that's how I'd define success, to live life on my terms.
And you know what's coming, don't you? Oh, yeah. There's no better way to end the show than something like that. Oh, Daniel Tolson, full of knowledge bombs, smart bombs. I'm not going to say full of anything else, because I know where some people are going with all that talk about porn and everything that was going on earlier in the show. If you missed that, you'll want to watch the rest. If you want to go back to the beginning, very intriguing stuff. So thank you so much for coming on, Daniel. And one of the greatest things I have found out from that question, I will reveal a secret, is that to a person, I've been doing this show for well over 3 years now. Not a single person, not one, has said that their definition of success had the majority of their reason had to do with money and the amount they made. Not a single person. Why is that? Because whether or not they're making a lot of money already, they have a successful mindset, and they're there to serve others, and they're thinking outside of the material and going after what you said it earlier in the show, the results. Those are what matter. And you went straight to it, just like everyone else. It didn't surprise me in the least, because no one else has done it either. So I appreciate you as a human being, as a man, as a husband, as a guy with a beautiful, buttery voice. I just love you to death, my friend. And I can't wait to continue actually, connecting with you and staying in communication with you, because you're a special person. And I don't say that to everybody, just everybody that comes on my show. Just kidding. But love to have fun as you do. And that's it, everybody. That's a wrap. On behalf of the amazing Daniel Tolson, I am Brian Kelly, the host of the Mind Body Business Show. And we'll be back again next week with another phenomenal show. Until then, so long, be blessed. Take care, all. Thank you for tuning in to the Mind Body Business Show podcast at www.themindbodybusinessshow.com. My name